The Great Hall of the Galactic Coalition was the largest room ever built. It stretched for 3 kilometers in every direction, and its ceiling was so high that clouds sometimes formed inside it. 73 species sat in their designated sections, each one representing millions of years of evolution and thousands of years of space travel. They had built empires, conquered star systems, and developed technologies that could reshape reality itself. And today, they were laughing at humans. Park stood at the center of the speaking platform, a tiny figure surrounded by beings that towered over her. Some had bodies made of living crystal, others existed as clouds of intelligent gas. A few were so large that they needed special chambers just to fit inside the hall. She was small, soft, and fragile compared to all of them. Her heart beat at a rate they considered dangerously slow. Her brain processed information at speeds they found almost sad. But she did not look away. She did not lower her eyes. She stood straight and spoke clearly. "The Earth Defense Force requests 1 destroyer-class warship," she said. "We wish to contribute to coalition security." The laughter grew louder. It came in many forms. The meridians pulsed with bright colors. The made sounds like breaking glass. The simply released clouds of spores that meant amusement in their culture. High Admiral of the Meridian Supremacy rose from his seat. His body was made of blue crystal, and he stood 4 meters tall. Light bent around him in ways that hurt human eyes. He was considered one of the greatest military minds in the coalition, and he had commanded fleets for longer than human civilization had existed. "Captain Park," he said, his voice like wind chimes in a storm, "I mean no disrespect to your species. Humans have shown remarkable progress in the short time since you discovered faster-than-light travel. Your scientists have contributed interesting theories. Your artists have created works that some find charming." More laughter. His face remained calm. "But warships are not a matter of charm," continued. "They are a matter of capability, and humans simply do not have the capability to operate combat vessels." He waved one crystalline hand, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the hall. It showed a human brain next to a meridian neural matrix. "Your species processes visual information in approximately 200 milliseconds, explained. "Your fastest reaction time is around 150 milliseconds. In combat, decisions must be made in microseconds. A single millisecond of delay can mean the difference between victory and death." The display changed to show combat simulations. Ships moved so fast they were barely visible. Weapons fired in patterns too complex for human eyes to follow. "We have run 17,000 simulations," said. "In every single one, human crews failed. They could not process the incoming data fast enough. They could not react to threats in time. They could not coordinate their systems at the required speed." He paused, and his crystal body dimmed slightly in what might have been sympathy. "I do not say this to be cruel, Captain. I say it because it is true. Humans cannot fly warships. It is not a matter of training or courage. It is a matter of biology. You are simply too slow." Waited until the hall was quiet, then she spoke again. "We understand the simulations, High Admiral. We have seen the data. We know what your scientists believe about human limitations." "It is not belief," said. "It is fact." "Then we accept those facts," replied. "We are not asking for a battleship or a carrier. We are asking for 1 destroyer, 1 small vessel. Let us prove ourselves or let us fail trying." The coalition delegates murmured among themselves. Ambassador of the Thorn Collective, an ancient being that looked like a tree made of shadows, leaned forward in its seat. "What purpose would this serve?" asked. "You admit you cannot succeed. Why waste resources on certain failure?" "Because humans have been told we cannot succeed before," said. "We were told we could not fly. We were told we could not split the atom. We were told we could not leave our planet. We were told we could not travel faster than light." She looked around the great hall, meeting as many eyes and sensors and perception organs as she could. "We are still here," she said. "We are still trying, that is what humans do." The hall was silent for a long moment, then made a sound that might have been a sigh. "Very well," he said. "We will give you a ship, but not a destroyer. We will give you a patrol craft, the smallest armed vessel in the Coalition fleet. It was scheduled for decommissioning next cycle anyway." More laughter. A patrol craft was barely larger than a civilian transport. Its weapons were outdated. Its shields were weak. It was the kind of ship that the Coalition used for inspecting cargo vessels and chasing smugglers. "We accept," said without hesitation. The ship arrived at Earth orbit 3 weeks later. It was called the Patrol Vessel 7749, and it looked like a metal brick with engines attached. The paint was faded. The hull was from decades of minor collisions. Half the internal systems were running on backup power. Was the first human to board it. He was 34 years old, an engineer who had spent his entire career studying alien technology. He had learned 6 different alien languages just to read their technical manuals. He had reverse-engineered Coalition devices that other humans thought were impossible to understand. When he saw the patrol craft's bridge, he stood in silence for a long time. The control systems were beautiful. They were designed for minds that could process 1,000 data streams at once. Information flowed across screens in patterns that seemed random to human eyes but contained perfect logic. Every switch, every display, every interface was built for beings that thought faster than humans could imagine. "It is beautiful," said quietly, "and it is completely wrong for us." Captain Park joined him on the bridge. She looked at the alien controls and saw the same thing he did. "Can you fix it?" she asked. "I cannot make us faster," said. "Our brains work how they work. No amount of modification will change that." "That is not what I asked." Turned to look at her. There was something in his eyes, a spark that had learned to recognize over years of working with brilliant people. It was the spark of an idea. "They designed this for reaction," said slowly. "Every system is built to respond to input as fast as possible. See this," he pointed to a weapons display. "It shows threats as they appear. The operator must respond to each one individually. The faster you respond, the better you perform." "And we cannot respond fast enough," said. "No, but what if we did not need to respond at all?" Waited. She had learned that thought best when he was allowed to find his own path to an idea. "Humans are slow," continued, "but we are not stupid. We see patterns. We predict outcomes. We plan ahead. What if we built systems that did not require fast reactions? What if we built systems that let us see what was coming before it arrived?" He walked to the center of the bridge and looked around at all the alien technology. "They react to the present," he said. "We can prepare for the future." Smiled. It was a small smile, but it contained the weight of human history. Every time someone had told humanity that something was impossible, someone else had found a way. "How long do you need?" she asked. Calculated in his head. 6 months to understand their systems. 6 more to rebuild them for human minds. Another 6 to train a crew to use them. "You have 12 months, said. "The Coalition expects us to fail. Let us not keep them waiting too long." She turned and walked toward the door, then stopped. "And find me the best crew Earth has ever produced. I do not care about their records or their ranks. I care about how they think." Nodded. He was already planning, already seeing possibilities that no alien had ever considered. Humans were slow. That was a fact. But facts could be worked around. That was what humans did best. The patrol craft sat in Earth's orbit for 3 months while tore it apart piece by piece. He worked 18 hours a day, sleeping on a cot in the engineering bay. He filled notebooks with drawings and calculations. He broke things, fixed them, broke them again, and fixed them better. The Coalition had built their systems for speed. Every wire, every circuit, every program was designed to move information as fast as possible. did not try to make these systems faster. Instead, he made them smarter. He created what he called the prediction engine. It was a simple idea that no alien species had ever considered. Instead of showing the crew what was happening right now, it showed them what would probably happen in the next 30 seconds. Aliens think in the present, he explained to Captain Park during one of her inspection visits. They see a threat, they respond to it. They see another threat, they respond to that one too. Everything is reaction, reaction, reaction. He pulled up a display showing a simulated battle. Enemy ships moved in complex patterns, firing weapons at random intervals. A Meridian crew would track each ship individually, said. They would respond to each weapon blast as it was detected. Their brains can handle that. Ours cannot. He pressed a button, and the display changed. Now the enemy ships had glowing paths extending in front of them, showing where they would likely be in 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. The weapon blasts were surrounded by probability clouds showing their most likely targets. But if we can see where they will be, said, we do not need to react, we can prepare. Park studied the display for a long moment. This is guessing, she said. What if they do something unexpected? Then we update our predictions and prepare again. We will always be slower than them in the moment, but we will always be ahead of them in understanding. Park nodded slowly. It was a strange way of thinking about combat. Every military academy in the coalition taught that victory belonged to the fastest, but humans had never been the fastest at anything. They had survived not by being quick, but by being clever. What about the crew? She asked. Have you found the people we need? Smiled, come with me. He led her to a small room near the back of the ship. Inside, a young woman sat at a table covered with star maps and tactical reports. She was reading 3 different documents at once, her eyes moving between them so fast it almost looked unnatural. This is Shin, said. She was a professor of probability mathematics at Seoul National University. She can look at a complex system and find the patterns that control it. She predicted the last 3 stock market crashes before they happened. Looked up from her documents, she had sharp eyes and a calm face. Captain Park, she said, I have been studying coalition battle records for the past 2 months. Their tactics are remarkably predictable. Predictable? Park raised an eyebrow. They have won every major war for 12,000 years. Because they have always been faster than their enemies, replied. Speed was enough. They never needed to be unpredictable. They never needed to think beyond the next microsecond. She tapped one of the star maps. But I can see their patterns. I know what they will do before they do it, and if I can predict allies, I can predict enemies. Park felt something warm in her chest. It was hope. Led her to another room. This one was set up like a ship's bridge, with a single chair in the center. A young man sat in the chair with his eyes closed, his hands resting on 2 control sticks. Lee said quietly, watch. A holographic simulation appeared around. Enemy ships attacked from all directions. Weapons fired in overlapping waves. Debris flew through space. It was chaos, pure and overwhelming. Did not open his eyes. His hands moved the control sticks in smooth, flowing motions. On the display, his ship danced through the chaos like water flowing around stones. He never seemed to react to specific threats. He simply moved, and somehow he was never where the weapons were firing. He was a fisherman before he joined the Navy, said. He grew up on the ocean, learning to read waves and currents. His conscious mind is no faster than anyone else's, but his instincts, his unconscious understanding of how things flow and move is extraordinary. How does he do it? Park asked. I do not know, admitted. I asked him once. He said he does not fly the ship. He feels the battle. He knows where the danger will be, not because he calculates it, but because he senses it. The simulation ended, opened his eyes and saw the captain watching him. He stood quickly and saluted. At ease, Park said. That was impressive flying, Lieutenant. Thank you, Captain. The simulation was set to Meridian combat difficulty. I have never failed it. How many times have you run it? 347. Park blinked, and you have never failed. No, Captain. The Meridians are very fast, but they are also very consistent. Once you learn their rhythm, it is easy to stay ahead of them. Park felt that warmth in her chest growing stronger. Showed her one more crew member. In the communications bay, a young woman sat surrounded by screens showing alien transmissions. She was not just listening to them. She was analyzing them, breaking down the sounds and patterns into their component parts. Said, she was a linguist before the war. She can learn a new language in 3 weeks, but more importantly, she can understand what people mean, not just what they say. Turned to face them. She had a gentle face but sharp, observant eyes. Captain, she said, did you know that the Meridians always transmit a specific frequency burst when they are about to retreat? They do not realize they are doing it. It is unconscious, built into their communication systems from thousands of years ago. But it means I will know they are planning to run before they do. How many species have you studied? Park asked. 47 so far. Each one has tells, patterns they do not know they are showing. In poker, we would call them weaknesses. In war, we call them opportunities. Park stood in the center of the communications bay and looked at the young woman. Then she thought about and her probability patterns, about and his flowing instincts, about and his prediction engines. Separately, they were just talented individuals. Together, they might be something more. We need to train together, Park said, not as individuals, as a single mind with many parts. I was hoping you would say that, replied. I have designed a training program. It will take 6 months of practice, 8 hours a day, every day. It will be the hardest thing any of you have ever done. Will it work? Park asked. I do not know. Nobody has ever tried this before. We are inventing a new kind of warfare, one that does not rely on speed. It relies on understanding. Park looked at her small crew. 4 people, plus herself. 5 humans against a galaxy that thought they were a joke. 5 slow, fragile, short-lived beings who were about to try something impossible. Then we had better get started, she said. And one more thing. She walked to the nearest window and looked out at the patrol craft floating in Earth's orbit. It was small and old and ugly. The Coalition had given it to them as an insult. We need a new name for our ship, Park said. Something that tells the galaxy who we are. Spoke up. I suggest persistence. It means refusing to give up, no matter how long it takes. Park smiled. It was the perfect name. Because that was what humans did. They persisted. They endured. They kept trying until they succeeded or died, and sometimes, just sometimes, they surprised everyone, including themselves. The training began the next morning. It would be the hardest 6 months of their lives, but when it was over, they would be ready to show the galaxy what slow, fragile, short-lived humans could do. They would be ready for war. The distress signal came from a Coalition mining outpost in the sector. Pirates from the Vex Collective had attacked with 12 ships, overwhelming the station's defenses in less than 3 minutes. 3 Coalition warships were dispatched to respond. The Persistence followed them, officially listed as an observation vessel. Captain Park sat in her command chair and watched the Coalition ships on the main display. They were fast and beautiful, cutting through space like silver arrows. Each one was crewed by Meridians, the fastest combat species in the known galaxy. Their reaction times were measured in microseconds. Their ships moved like thoughts. And they were losing. The Vex pirates had surrounded the mining outpost and were systematically destroying anything that came close. 2 Coalition ships were already disabled, their crews either dead or dying. The third was taking heavy fire, its shields flickering as it tried to retreat. Observer vessel Persistence, the Meridian commander transmitted, withdraw immediately. You cannot help here. Your presence only adds to our concerns." Park looked at her crew. Shin sat at the tactical station, her eyes moving across multiple displays. Lee had his hands on the helm controls, already feeling the rhythm of the battle, monitored communications, listening to both coalition and pirate transmissions, watched the engineering readouts, ready to give the engines everything they had. They had trained for 18 months. They had run thousands of simulations. They had faced every scenario could design, and some that he thought were impossible. But this was real, real ships, real weapons, real death. Park said quietly, "Tell me what you see." His voice was calm. She had predicted this moment months ago, had known that eventually they would face a real battle. She was ready. 12 Vex Raiders, she said. Standard collective formation. They are using Pattern 7, which splits them into 4 groups of 3 ships each. They will attack from 4 directions at once, overwhelming any target with concentrated fire. They have used this pattern before. 123 times in the past decade. They have never lost when using it. Park nodded. Then they have never faced an enemy who knew what they were going to do, take us in. The Meridian commander's voice came through again, sharper now. "Human vessel, you are ordered to withdraw. Your ship is not rated for combat. Your crew is not certified for battle operations. You will only get yourselves killed." Looked at the captain. "Should I respond?" "Not yet, let them watch." Push the Persistence forward. The little patrol craft accelerated toward the battle, its old engines screaming with effort. On the tactical display, the 12 pirate ships began to react to this new target. "They are adjusting formation," reported. 4 ships are breaking off to intercept us. They expect to destroy us in approximately 15 seconds. 15 seconds, a lifetime for a Meridian and for a human. "I need 30 seconds to reach optimal firing position," continued. "Can you give me 30 seconds?" Did not answer with words, he answered with motion. The Persistence moved in a way that no coalition ship had ever moved. It did not fly straight and fast like an arrow. It flowed like water, sliding between trajectories that the pirates had not yet created. When the Vex weapons fired, the Persistence was not where they expected it to be. When they adjusted their aim, it had already moved again. "Impossible," someone on the coalition channel whispered. Their reaction time should not allow that kind of maneuvering. But was not reacting. He was anticipating. He felt the battle like he had once felt the ocean, reading currents and waves that existed only in probability. The Vex ships were fast, but they were predictable. They did what they had always done, and knew what they had always done. 25 seconds into the engagement, spoke again. "Firing solution ready. 3 targets locked. I need you to hold position for 2 seconds." 2 seconds. In coalition combat, that was suicide. Standing still meant dying. "Ready," said. The Persistence stopped. For 2 endless seconds, it hung motionless in space. The Vex ships fired everything they had. Missiles and energy beams converged on the tiny human vessel from 4 directions. And then moved. The Persistence dropped straight down relative to the battle plane, a direction that the Vex targeting computers had not considered. The weapons passed through empty space above it. At the same moment fired. Her weapons were old and slow by coalition standards, but she had not aimed at where the pirates were. She had aimed at where they would be when her shots arrived. 3 Vex ships exploded in rapid succession. They never saw the shots coming because the shots had been fired before they had moved into position. 3 kills reported, reloading. The remaining 9 pirates hesitated. Vex ships did not hesitate. They were programmed for instant reaction, instant aggression, but they had never seen anything like this. They had never faced an enemy that seemed to know the future. Park leaned forward in her chair. "Open a channel to the pirates. Let them hear this." Nodded and opened the channel. Vex Raiders, Park said, her voice steady and cold. This is Captain Park of the Earth vessel Persistence. You have attacked Coalition citizens and destroyed Coalition property. You will surrender immediately, or you will be destroyed. Laughter came back across the channel. Vex's laughter sounded like metal scraping on metal. Human, the pirate commander replied. You killed 3 of my ships. Impressive, but you are one small vessel against 9. Your luck will not hold. You are right, Park said. It is not luck. She cut the channel and looked at her crew. Show them. The next 4 minutes were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Persistence danced through the pirate formation like a ghost, flew with his eyes half closed, feeling rather than seeing. Fired shot after shot, each one aimed at a future that only she could calculate. Called out pirate communications, warning the crew whenever the enemy was about to try something new. Kept the engines running at levels they were never designed to reach. One by one, the Vex ships died. They tried to adapt. They tried to change their patterns. But every change they made was a change that had predicted. Every new tactic they attempted was something she had seen in their historical data. They were fast, but they were fighting their own past as much as they were fighting the Persistence. 4 minutes after the battle began, 8 pirate ships were destroyed. The 4 remaining vessels attempted to flee. They are running, said. Predicted escape vectors are on your display. Was already moving. The Persistence had positioned itself along the most likely retreat path 30 seconds earlier. When the pirates tried to run, they found a human ship waiting for them. Open channel, Park said. Connected her. Vex Raiders, Park said. You can surrender or you can die tired. Choose now. 3 ships powered down their weapons and extended surrender signals. 1 ship tried to break past the Persistence at maximum speed. Fired once. A single shot perfectly placed that disabled the fleeing ship's engines without destroying it. All targets neutralized, reported. Battle complete. The Coalition channel was silent for a long moment. Then the Meridian commander spoke, his voice filled with something that might have been awe. Human vessel Persistence, please explain what we just witnessed. Park allowed herself a small smile. We did what humans have always done, Commander. We found another way. She looked at her crew. They were exhausted. Sweat covered their faces. Their hands were shaking from the strain of 4 minutes of intense concentration. But they were alive, and they had won. Park said, send a message to Earth. Tell them the first battle is over. What should I tell them about the outcome? Park looked at the tactical display, at the 8 destroyed pirate ships and the 4 that had surrendered, at the Coalition vessels they had saved, at the mining outpost that would see another day. Tell them we proved something today, she said. Tell them that humans can fly warships after all. And across the galaxy, everyone who had laughed at humanity began to wonder if they had made a terrible mistake. The battle data spread across the Coalition like fire through dry grass. Within hours, every military academy had downloaded the recordings. Within days, every admiral and general had watched them at least twice. Within a week, the humans became the most discussed topic in 12,000 years of Coalition history. Captain Park stood once again in the Great Hall of the Galactic Coalition. But this time, no one was laughing. High Admiral had requested this meeting personally. He stood at the center of the speaking platform, his crystal body pulsing with colors that Park had learned to read over the past year. Blue meant calm. Green meant curiosity. The faint trace of purple meant something she had never seen in a meridian before. Uncertainty. I have watched the battle recording 417 times, said. His voice was quiet, almost humble. I have run the data through every analysis system we possess. I have consulted with the finest military minds in the Coalition. He paused. The Great Hall was completely silent. 73 species waited to hear what the legendary admiral would say. We cannot explain what happened, admitted. By every metric we use to measure combat effectiveness, the human crew should have died within the first 30 seconds. Their reaction times were exactly what our simulations predicted. They were slow. They were limited. They were everything we said they were. His crystal form brightened slightly. And yet they won, not through luck, not through accident. They won through something we do not understand. Park stepped forward. "May I speak, High Admiral?" Gestured for her to continue. "You measured our reaction times correctly," Park said. "Your calculations were accurate. We cannot process information as fast as your species. We cannot respond to threats as quickly. These are facts and we accept them." She looked around the hall at the assembled delegates. Some were hostile, some were curious. A few, she was surprised to see, looked almost hopeful. "But you made an error in your assumptions," she continued. "You assumed that combat must be fought by reacting to the present moment. You assumed that the fastest response would always win. You assumed that predicting the future was impossible." She smiled slightly. "Humans have been predicting the future since we lived in caves. We predicted where animals would go so we could hunt them. We predicted weather patterns so we could plant crops. We predicted the movements of enemies so we could defend our homes." She gestured to her crew who stood behind her in a line. Shin, Lee, 4 people who had changed everything. "Lieutenant rebuilt your systems to show us not what is happening, but what will happen. Commander Shin developed tactical frameworks that reduce infinite possibilities to manageable predictions. Lieutenant Lee pilots not by reacting to threats, but by feeling the flow of battle before it occurs. Lieutenant Commander reads the intentions of our enemies in their communications, knowing what they will do before they know themselves." She faced directly. "You are faster than us. This is true, but we are further ahead, and in war being ahead matters more than being fast." The hall erupted in noise. Different species expressed their reactions in different ways. Some shouted. Some pulsed with light. Some released chemical signals that filled the air with strange scents. But beneath all the noise, Park sensed something changing. They were listening. Ambassador of the Thorn Collective rose from its seat. The ancient being moved slowly, its shadow body shifting like smoke in wind. The Thorn Collective had existed longer than any other coalition species. They rarely spoke, and when they did, everyone listened. "Human," said, its voice like rustling leaves, "we have watched your species since you first discovered fire. We have observed your wars, your discoveries, your failures and successes. We have always considered you interesting but ultimately limited." It paused, studying Park with senses that humans could not comprehend. "We were wrong," said simply. "Not completely wrong. You are limited. You are slow. You are fragile and short-lived. But you have something that we failed to measure, something that does not appear in our simulations or calculations." "What is that?" Park asked. "Adaptability," replied. "When we encounter a limitation, we work within it. When you encounter a limitation, you find a way around it. You do not accept the boundaries of possibility. You move them." The hall fell silent again. Coming from this was not just a compliment. It was a recognition of something fundamental. Another delegate stood. This was Admiral of the Dominion Fleet, a massive being with 4 arms and skin like stone. The Dominion had been skeptical of humans from the beginning. "Words are easy," rumbled. "One battle proves nothing. Perhaps the Vex were simply incompetent. Perhaps your victory was a combination of luck and favorable circumstances." Park nodded. "A fair point, Admiral. What would convince you?" "Show us again. Not in a recording. Here. Now. Face one of our combat simulations with your crew. Let us see this prediction system of yours work against something truly challenging." Park looked at her crew. They had not slept in 3 days. The journey to the coalition capital had been long, and the stress of appearing before the assembly was enormous. They were exhausted. Caught her eye and gave a small nod. simply raised an eyebrow waiting, smiled, cracked his knuckles. "We accept," Park said. The Great Hall was equipped with the most advanced simulation technology in the galaxy. Within minutes, a holographic battle space appeared at the center of the room. The persistence was represented by a small blue shape. Around it, enemy vessels began to appear. "This is a standard coalition training scenario," announced. "Difficulty level is set to maximum. Even Meridian crews fail this simulation 40% of the time." Park took her place at a command console. Her crew stood at stations arranged in a circle around her. The simulation began. Enemy ships attacked from everywhere. They were faster than the Vex. Their weapons were more powerful. Their tactics were more complex. This was not a pirate raid. This was the full might of a galactic military compressed into a single brutal test. His voice was calm as she called out predictions. "Wave 1 approaching from sectors 3 and 7. They will feint left, then attack right. Prepare for evasive pattern Delta." Moved before the enemies did. The Persistence slid through space like it was made of water. "What do their communications tell us?" "Commander is frustrated. He expected us to fall for the feint. He is ordering a change to aggressive pattern 12. "I know pattern 12, said. "It has a weakness in the upper left quadrant. Can you give me extra power to forward weapons for exactly 3 seconds? "Ready." The coalition delegates watched in stunned silence as the human crew fought the simulation. They did not fight the way any other species fought. They did not react to attacks. They prepared for them. They did not respond to enemy movements. They anticipated them. The simulation lasted 12 minutes. When it ended, every enemy ship was destroyed. The Persistence had taken only minor damage. Admiral stared at the results for a long moment. Then he began to laugh. It was a deep, rolling sound that echoed through the great hall. "Magnificent," he said. "Absolutely magnificent. You have made us all look like fools, human, and I could not be happier about it." High Admiral stepped forward. His crystal form was now bright with colors Park had never seen before. Wonder, perhaps, or hope. "Captain Park," he said formally, "on behalf of the Galactic Coalition, I offer humanity full membership status. You have proven yourselves not just capable, but exceptional." Park felt tears forming in her eyes, but she kept her voice steady. "We are honored to accept." "Furthermore," continued, "the Coalition grants Earth permission to construct a fleet of warships designed for human crews. You have shown us a new way of fighting. We would be fools not to learn from it." The Great Hall erupted in approval. Different species expressed joy in different ways, but for once, they were all expressing the same thing. "Respect." Park turned to her crew, was grinning like a child, allowed herself a small, satisfied smile, looked slightly embarrassed by all the attention, was crying openly, not bothering to hide her tears. They had done it. 4 people and their captain had changed the galaxy's opinion of humanity in a single year. But Park knew this was only the beginning. The Coalition had enemies, real enemies, not just pirates. Someday those enemies would come, and when they did, humanity would need to be ready. She looked at her crew and made a silent promise. Whatever came next, they would face it together, slowly, carefully, thoughtfully. The human way. 3 years passed. Earth built ships. The first Earth fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 12 vessels, each one designed from the ground up for human crews. Their systems were built around prediction, not reaction. Their bridges were arranged in circles, allowing crews to share information instantly. Their weapons were slower than Coalition standard, but their targeting systems could see 30 seconds into the future. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of the S-Hope, the fleet's flagship. She was older now. Gray streaked her hair and lines marked her face, but her eyes were still sharp, still calculating, still looking ahead. Her original crew had grown with her. Captain commanded the S-Wisdom. Captain Shin led the S Foresight. Captain Lee flew the S Flowing Water. Captain directed communications for the entire fleet from the S Understanding. They had trained thousands of humans in the new way of fighting. Earth's military academies had been rebuilt from nothing. Where other species trained soldiers to react faster, humans trained them to think further ahead. And now they were needed. The Hollow had come. Nobody knew where the Hollow came from. They had appeared at the edge of Coalition space 6 months ago and had been advancing ever since. 3 species had already fallen. Their worlds were empty now, their people gone. The Hollow did not conquer. They did not negotiate. They simply consumed everything in their path and moved on. The Coalition's fastest fleets had tried to stop them. The Meridians had thrown their best ships against the Hollow and lost. The Dominion had built a defensive line of 300 vessels, and the Hollow had broken through it in less than a day. Now the remnants of 5 Coalition were trapped in the system. 57 ships, carrying the survivors of dozens of failed battles. They were surrounded by Hollow vessels that numbered in the hundreds. Admiral Park, the Coalition commander transmitted, "We cannot hold much longer. Our ships are damaged. Our crews are exhausted. The Hollow attack without pause, without rest. We have tried every tactic we know." Park studied the tactical display. The Hollow ships were strange, organic shapes that seemed to grow and change as she watched. They did not use standard formations. They did not follow predictable patterns. Every time the Coalition adapted to their tactics, the Hollow changed. Park said, opening a channel to the S Foresight, "What do you see?" Captain Shin's voice came back calm and thoughtful. "I have been studying them since they appeared. They are unlike anything in Coalition records. Their tactics are not programmed or trained. They evolve." "Can you predict them?" A pause, "Not their tactics, but I think I can predict something else." "What?" "Their purpose." Park frowned. "Their purpose is to destroy us." "No," said slowly. "Watch how they move. Watch where they go. They are not attacking everything. They are moving in a specific direction. They are not invaders, Admiral. They are migrants." Park looked at the display again. Was right. The Hollow were not spreading outward in all directions. They were moving along a single path, destroying only what was in their way. Park said, "Have you been able to intercept their communications?" Captain responded from the S Understanding. "I have been listening for months. Their communication is unlike anything we have encountered. It is not language, it is more like emotion, feeling, raw experience shared between beings." "Can you translate it?" Another pause. "I have been trying. There are patterns, repeated signals that might be words or concepts. I think one of them means something like home. Another might mean gone or lost." Park felt something shift in her understanding. She had fought enemies before. She had defeated pirates and passed Coalition tests and proven humanity's worth. But she had never tried to understand an enemy. Not truly. She said, "I need you to analyze their resource consumption. What are they taking from the worlds they conquer?" Captain responded from the S Wisdom. "I have already done this. They are not taking resources. They are taking space. Empty territory. They strip worlds of life, but they leave the minerals and metals and energy. They only want the room." Park closed her eyes and let the pieces come together. The Hollow were not attackers. They were refugees. Something had destroyed their home and they were running. They were not evil. They were desperate. "Coalition Commander," Park transmitted, "withdraw your ships. Form a defensive perimeter around the civilian transports. Do not engage the Hollow." "Admiral, if we do not engage, they will overwhelm us." "Trust me, I am going to try something." Park opened a channel to her fleet. "All ships hold position. Power down weapons. Raise shields but do not fire." Admiral's voice was uncertain. "They will attack." "Maybe, but maybe not. We have spent all our time learning to predict enemy tactics. Now I want to predict enemy needs." She turned to her communications officer. "Open a channel to the hollow, all frequencies. Broadcast everything we have." "What should I send?" Park thought for a moment. Then she spoke slowly, choosing her words with care. "We see you. We know you are running. We know you have lost your home. We do not want to fight you. We want to understand you." The message went out. The hollow ships continued to advance. The coalition commanders screamed at Park to fight, to run, to do something. But she waited. His voice came through, quiet and tense. "They are slowing." Park watched the display. It was true. The hollow advance had stopped. The strange organic ships hung in space, neither attacking nor retreating. "Are they responding?" "Yes, I think their communication patterns have changed. They are discussing, arguing maybe. They have never been spoken to before. They do not know how to respond." Hours passed. The coalition ships waited. The first Earth fleet held position. The hollow remained still. Then finally a response came. Not in words, not in any language had ever studied. But she understood it anyway because it was made of pure emotion, pure feeling, pure need. "You see us." Park felt tears in her eyes. "Yes, we see you." More communication, slower now, more careful, translated as best she could, filling in gaps with intuition and empathy. The hollow had once had a home, a region of space they had inhabited for millions of years. Then something had come, something worse than them, something that consumed not just matter but space itself. Their home had simply ceased to exist. They had run, desperate and terrified, looking for somewhere safe. Everything in their path had attacked them. Every species they encountered had tried to destroy them. So they had learned to destroy first. It was survival, not cruelty. It was fear, not hatred. "Tell them," Park said slowly, "that we understand. Tell them that humans have been refugees too. Tell them that we know what it means to run from something terrible and find only enemies." Sent the message. The response came faster this time. "You are slow, fragile, small. How do you survive?" Park smiled despite herself. "Tell them we survive because we refuse to give up. Tell them we survive because we find ways around our limitations. Tell them we survive because we help each other." A long pause, then, "Help." "Yes, help, we help you, you help us. That is how we survive together." The hollow did not attack system. They did not attack any coalition system after that. Instead, they followed the first Earth fleet to the edge of the galaxy, to a region of empty space that no other species wanted. It took years to establish real communication. It took decades to build trust. But eventually, the hollow became the coalition's 74th member species. They were strange allies, alien in ways that no other species had ever been. But they were allies. And they were humanity's first true friends among the stars. Years later, a young Meridian officer asked Admiral Park how humans had accomplished what faster, stronger, older species could not. Park thought about her crew, about who built systems that let humans see the future, about who found patterns in chaos, about who flew through danger like water through stone, about who heard meaning in silence. "You measured our reaction time," she said. "You calculated our processing speed. You counted our limitations. But you never measured the one thing that mattered." "What was that?" Admiral Park looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, the hollow were building new homes. Somewhere out there, species that had once laughed at humans now asked for their advice. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was changing because one small crew had refused to accept the impossible. "You never measured our refusal to give up," she said. "You never measured our ability to see enemies as people. You never measured our willingness to try something that had never been done before." She smiled, the smile of a woman who had lived long enough to see the impossible become ordinary. "You never measured our humanity, and that was your mistake." The Meridian officer did not fully understand, but she remembered the words for the rest of her long life. And when she told the story to her children, she told them about the slow species that had changed the galaxy, not by being the fastest or the strongest, but by being the most human. And that, she would say, was enough. That was always enough.